All right, good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Uh, when Prashant got in touch with us and said we are looking at some interesting topic which could help the HR fraternity, I thought what better it could be than to talk about turbulent times. We're extremely engaged with a whole lot of organizations in India, overseas, and I think one thing that people talk about with us is, we're going through hell. And I always tell them it's not hell, it's opportunity. A lot of times when we look at turbulence, we start believing that turbulence means we are in a major mess, it's all fire all over. But I always felt, that turbulence is something which makes the creative juice flow within the organization. It makes us think, it allows us to deeply get into the faculty of imagination that we all carry. And by the way, human beings are the only ones on this planet who are blessed with the faculty of imagination, right? And turbulence actually helps us to tap into that. We are living in interesting times right now, and this topic is extremely dear to my heart. If I were to say if there are two topics which are extremely dear to my heart, one is emotional intelligence and the other is managing turbulence. Why would turbulence be so interesting for me? Because I have personally been through turbulence right from my childhood. I love it, and in fact I thrive on it. I don't thrive in crisis, but I do thrive in turbulence. For me, crisis is always created by bad plan. However, turbulence is bound to happen every time we tend to move into new territories or we want to do something better. I never start my presentations before the audience warms up in terms of questions. So let me tell you what this concept was. When we decided that between Gaurav, Prashant and me that managing turbulent times seems to be a good idea to get on, we got onto the drawing board. And by the way, in my office, the office is well equipped to manage turbulence, so we have huge glass boards and we always get onto the concepts on the glass board. So we went straight onto our glass boards. We said, how should we conceptualize this entire work? We felt that every time you do get into an exposure to turbulence, you must carry something handy with you. So the whole crew is here which is going to be filming this entire talk, which will include your questions also. So whatever you're going through today, whatever you anticipate you will go through tomorrow, or whatever you did yesterday, and if you wish to really talk about it, I think it could be the right place to discuss. I'll put the context in, and while the context is being put in, I'll share certain models which could be proprietary Atyasa, because we've got a research team back in our office which works on different models. Some models will be put up for trademarking for sure. Then we will transition into a 7-minute, not a break, but 7-minute of alternative work where we've created a questionnaire for you which is not a standard questionnaire, but it's meant specifically for this work, which got done and got the quality cleared in the morning today. Each one of you will have to fill that questionnaire. How it's going to help you is your answers will help my research team look at how do you actually collectively in SEEP manage turbulent times. And we would apply our experience and give you a report back and say, this is what the fraternity seems to be doing and this is what could be done beyond. If there's nothing else that we need to evaluate, wonderful. I mean, there's no problem there. So you would get a free copy of the report for sure, end of this. I can't give you a free copy unless you filled up the survey form for sure, right? There is also a column in the survey point where you're supposed to be asking some questions, which could be confidential questions pertaining to your organization, and I stand committed to a promise that we shall not share these questions outside at all. But the panel in my office shall write to you directly, giving you an answer to the query that you have put in. All right, and it will come to you only. There will be no BCCs and there shall be no CC. That's a commitment from my side, right? We will destroy the mails immediately after you acknowledge the receipt. If you do not acknowledge the receipt, the mail will be held in our outbox for 7 days, and after that we shall destroy it. That's the way the organization tends to work. Post you filling up the forms, we will move into panel discussions. We put up an interesting panel here. In fact, we moved into turbulence when it came to panel. Suddenly one of the panelists dropped out, and we said, fair enough, no problem. Somebody up there seems to be wanting us to think, and we thought, and then we came up with the idea that let's have a CEO. Let's have a delivery head. Now, Naren is a very dear friend of mine. We've been working together for the last 12 years. I think our thought processes match. And I thought about him, by the way, in the morning. And he was kind enough to come over immediately. So another learning I got today morning was, when you do get into turbulence, do count on your friends. They help you. So So that happened. And then Rishikesh, of course, is the general manager of, he's the CEO now of my foundation. And he's a very networked and highly relationship-oriented guy. And he got the other two friends of his on panel. So we thought we'll get a CEO of a company who could actually tell you what does he expect from the HR person. So you can tap into a CEO's mind. And then we got one more panelist who's actually fought turbulence. He's yet to arrive here, but I'm sure when he arrives here, you will know when you see him what kind of a turbulence he's been through, right? And then, of course, I'm here, a living entity. For the last 13 years, I have been wanting to create this organization. And my last count of total HR trainers and consultants in the city of Pune is 3,700. All right, that means if you walk into any cooperative housing society, and if you look for a trainer, every building shall have, with an 80% probability, at least one trainer residing. By the way, the entry barriers into training are non-existent because all you need is a laptop and a person, right? So that's where the whole process started. And I think last 13 years we've been through turbulence. We've helped organizations take through turbulence. Management of turbulence requires us to move into the spiritual domain for sure. I shall not restrict myself only to management jargons, but I shall talk about certain stories which have got to do with some spiritual angle to it. The universe goes through turbulence. I think the universe started with turbulence. If you were to look at the story of universe, first there was nothing, then there was a whim, and the moment there was a whim, there was a turbulence, and post the turbulence, the order came in and the universe got created. The universe consists of the Brahma, Vishnu, and the Mahesh. That means there is a creator who apparently goes off to sleep after he creates. Then you've got Vishnu who has to keep taking avatars, which is what probably all managers in the organizations are, right? And then you've got the Rudra, the Shiva, who keeps destroying. Unfortunately, in the organizations today, we have the creator, and after some time he gets old and hands over the reins to a bunch of Vishnus. Vishnus forget that they have to destroy things. So my entire presentation will work through destruction, by the way. And in my organization, I carry the role of a destroyer. My team hates me for it. Yeah, but I tell them I pay you 25% of your salary is to understand that I will take you through that turbulence of destruction constantly. And yeah, it happens because a lot of times people do not like to move into turbulence at all. When we engaged with different organizations in India and overseas, and when we started studying what is it that creates turbulence, we arrived at the first part. Normally, HR folks, when they look at turbulence, they attribute turbulence mostly to attrition. We are moving through turbulent times. Why? We lost so many people. All right, so many people, turbulence. If you talk to a recruiter, turbulence means I don't get people. So that's turbulence. The market going dry is turbulence. But for a CEO, the turbulence is something else. For the CEO, the turbulence is the economy is not taking shape. Now the HR person says, so what? I've given you the people, so what have I got to do with the economy, right? And then there's somebody else who's in purchase, he says, you know what, my vendors are creating a lot of problems for me, there's turbulence. So you say, hey Baba, vendor is not so much of a problem, you handle it, So if you really look at the whole aspect of turbulence, what are we talking about? We're primarily talking about an environment which is internal to the organization and the environment which is external to the organization. Organizations which have been able to manage turbulence have worked on their internal systems and processes, and organizations which have not been able to manage turbulence have always focused on the outer circle.